And joining me now is Arkansas Republican Congressman Steve Womack. And Congressman, thanks so much for coming back to meet the press now. Good to have you.
Always good to be with you.
Awesome. Well, Congressman, there are 9 declared candidates to be the next Republican Speaker nominee. Who are you backing this time around?
Well, I'm going to back the person that can get 217 GOP votes in conference, because we need this entire process to come to a quick and effective end as soon as possible. And look, I'm going to go like the rest of my colleagues tonight at 6:30 and listen to the 9. You know, we have 9 that have announced. We have easily another 9 or maybe 90 that look in the mirror and see the next Speaker of the House. So I would just tell you that we got to coalesce around somebody. We're going to listen to the messages. We're going to hear what they have to say. They will make their best case. We will vote, and then little by little we will come up with a nominee, and then we'll go to the floor as we have on 2 other occasions and see where this thing shakes out. I'm not real sure that any of them can get 217, but we will let it play out and see.
And Congressman, what makes you think this time will be different?
Well, a couple of things. One, first, I'm not in agreement that this time is different, but there's a couple of external factors bearing down on us. One, as you say, we're in a state of paralysis right now. We're not doing anything. The House chamber is effectively empty. Nothing is happening that's going to benefit the American people right now, and I think there's a lot of pressure from that standpoint. Then you've got what's going on, as you've adequately reported, overseas, and those are issues that have, a relationship to the business that we should be conducting right now. And in order to be able to get past where we are right now and be able to deal with those issues, I mean, and plus we're on the clock. November 17th, we're going to lapse in appropriations. So very soon we're going to be into November, and if this thing isn't over, the pressure will continue to mount. But that's not the reason to just say we're going to elect a speaker. It really needs to be the right person, too, with all the right ideas.
Well, Congressman, you backed McCarthy, then Scalise. Why not Emmer?
Well, I'm not saying I'm not going to support Tom Emmer. I haven't thrown my support behind anybody because I think it's premature to do so. To be fair to the other 8...
Congressman, we're 20 days into this.
I realize that, but to be fair to the other 8, they haven't had the chance, other than Austin Scott, to make their case, and Austin only had 30 minutes to prepare. Mm-hmm. So I think it's fair to all of them, given where we are, to hear what they have to say, and then do the check and balance on whether their ideas and their vision and their commitment and their skill sets are capable of being able to take this Congress where this Congress needs to go.
And Congressman, you mentioned it, but Emmer and Georgia's Austin Scott are the only members running who joined you in certifying the 2020 election. Does that matter to you?
Well, whether it matters to me or not is not important. I think the bigger question is that if we get into a situation where one of them is a nominee and is very close to the finish line, but just a little bit short, I think it means a lot to the other side that could participate in the final outcome. Because, look, the pressure is mounting on Democrats, too, to come to agreement on something that could end this stalemate. So whether that would be taking a pass on the vote, lowering the threshold for winning the speakership, I don't know what that would look like. It could even involve members on the other side calling out a Republican name. But as the pressure mounts and as the world around us burns, I think there will be an opportunity for maybe some of those issues to surface in this discussion.
And as the world around us burns, there is a letter circulating among your conference for members to pledge to support the conference's nominee. Have you signed on to that letter? What do you think of it?
I have not. Look, I don't sign on to letters that pledge that I'm going to do something a certain way. I'm not going to cede my voting card. This voting card belongs to me and the 750,000 people in the 3rd District of Arkansas. And they have asked me to come up. They've elected me to come up here and make value-based decisions that's in the best interest of what they represent and in the best interest of the country. And that's how I approach each and every vote that I take in Congress.
And Congressman, are there any serious conversations right now about empowering Patrick McHenry? Do you think there are 217 votes to do that? So there are those conversations? Do you think there are enough votes?
Well, it's a card that we still could play. to be determined. I think we need to go through this next series. We've got 9 really, really good people, very committed people, very strong conservative credentials that are going to go make their presentation and try to win over the majority of our votes, and they need to have that opportunity. If, in fact, we don't do that, I think there will be a ramped-up effort to empower Patrick McHenry so that the House floor can open for business once again, and then we can maybe put this issue of a permanent speaker behind us for the time being.
And Congressman, humor me. If it took Democratic votes to empower McHenry as Speaker Pro Tem, would you do that?
You know, to be determined. I mean, it's a House vote. The House gets to vote. And I think Patrick is a very capable and qualified person. I'm not real sure Patrick wants us to be able to empower him right now. The message I'm getting from Patrick is we need to get this issue behind us and move on to the next thing. Patrick is a committee chair, financial services, and I know he'd like to get back to that work. So we'll just see. Let this thing play out. I know the people are frustrated. I'm frustrated. But at the end of the day, this is how this process unfolds, and we need to let it work. And then if it can't, then maybe some of these other last resort measures will be in play.
And Congressman, some folks are more than frustrated. I want to play what your colleague Michael McCall, said over the weekend. Take a listen.
The world's on fire, and this is so dangerous what we're doing. And most importantly, it's embarrassing because it empowers and emboldens our adversaries like Chairman Xi, who says, you know, democracy doesn't work.
Congressman, do you agree? Is the conduct of your conference an embarrassment to democracy?
I agree with Mike McCall that the world is burning around us, and American leadership is necessary, and you can't have the full complement of American leadership if the House of Representatives is not functioning. Whether it's an embarrassment or not, I mean, that's in the eyes of the beholder. I will just tell you, it's unfortunate. The world is watching. Our adversaries are paying attention, and it does not, cast a good light on the democratic institutions that we all have sworn to defend. So, again, let's hope and pray that this week is it, and we can move on to the next stage.
And Congressman, Ken Buck told us last week that he has no regrets about ousting Kevin McCarthy and spurring this fight. In your opinion, should Ken Buck have regrets?
Look, I try not to, question or criticize or theorize as to why people vote a certain way. Shouldn't have happened. 8 members of our conference should not have joined 208 Democrats to throw out the duly elected Speaker of the House. Kevin McCarthy was doing the very best job he could under the circumstances. And I think all that happened to Kevin McCarthy maybe foretells what could be in the future for whoever wins this speakership the next time around. So we have to learn from it. And sometimes that learning process takes a little while, and you got to get burned a couple of times. But at the end of the day, I think we'll get this behind us soon.
Congressman Steve Womack, thanks so much for joining us here on Meet the Press Now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.